Hey, check out who was on The Morning After with Nick and Big J today.
Hello.
Hey, guys. Sorry I'm late.
Yeah. You're all good, brother. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Very good. Thank you very much for the time, man. It is good to chat with you. Better to see you again. And we are very geeked because we're going to get a chance to see you guys again soon come February. We are very honored to be the first date on the tour that you guys are going to do in 2025 with Disturbed. And this is a pretty big one. Talk to us a little bit about the origins. We know how you guys are kind of messing around. When did you decide to make this a permanent thing with Adam and bring him back into the fold?
Well, we had been talking to him for a little while, over a year, and then he came out and got up on stage with us a couple times, and the fan reaction was just wild, as you can imagine, and we just started throwing around what would it look like if we got creative together, and let's put the music first and see if we can hang out and what kind of music comes out of there. So we did that. We got in a room. And it was just really organic. The songs just started spewing out. The having two singers on it just sort of naturally unfolded in a really exciting way. And it's they both have their own individual character. So it's in a way, we were listening to a bunch of Pink Floyd, and just because those two singers have completely different voices and different approaches, and they lean into each other, one another's strengths. And so we kind of looked at it like that, where just the back and forth, and we kind of wrote to that on some of the lyrical topics and things. And it got to the point with our single Mayday. That song was the trade-off of the vocals back and forth just really kind of feels right. And but at one point, it's kind of funny because at one point the guys were just rock, paper, scissors for who was going to sing the next line. We're like, all right, if this is working, it's working, and we never really look back, Neil,
a band's signature sound doesn't just come from the singer. It comes from everybody, all the players, and the way that you guys are. So, 3 Days Grace always had that 3 Days Grace sound. And then when, Adam left the band and Matt continued on, you still had that 3 Days Grace song. But I think the thing that you're saying here is that each singer has a distinctive voice, and both of them work to create 3 Days Grace. In the song that we've had a chance to hear, it just worked really seamless. I mean, I was kind of blown away. Were you shocked by how well that it worked out?
I was pleasantly surprised at just how it came together, and it felt like we hadn't really missed a step, even though 13 years later. But overall, it's I look at this now and just I feel super grateful, that the 3 Days Grace came out, 22 years ago, and to still have so many fans that are so excited about the future and the next chapter for us. And we feel like it's just, it's bigger and it's more, and it's it kind of completes this circle in a way, and it's, I look at it I look at life, it's a bunch of different chapters, and you just there's no point in looking backwards too long. And so now with the amount of hype that's coming out and all these tour dates and all the festival dates and everybody how excited they are about this release, I just feel super lucky,
Yeah. And, to that point, I mean, as we move forward, you guys have kind of started issuing out things as 3 Days Grace 2X, and it's almost like a rebrand, but it's also kind of like a rebirth of the band, because letting people know that while it's the same 3 Days Grace, there's a different element to things that take this up a whole nother level, I think. And that gets us really excited for the live shows and what we have in store for the entire new album, I'm sure.
Yeah, man, it gives us this new dimension and this new depth, and especially for the live show where Adam or Matt can take the reins on singing, on the lead singer. The other guy can do all kinds of backups, and then they both play guitar, so that we're able to add another guitar to the show. So it's just gonna be a big sound, and we have the catalog to pull from. So I'm, I got to finish this interview and go get on the treadmill, because I see how many songs that we're prepping right now. And, I'm like, oh boy. And, as you may know, your short-term memory is, you can damage it over the years. I think I might've done a bit of that. So it's, you got to get the muscle memory back. You got to keep the wind there and lift some weights. And, but it's going to be a huge year for us. I'm looking at the tour schedule and all the stuff in the works, and it sometimes feels a little daunting, because it's oh man, we're getting on the bus again. We got all these shows. The first show is just is with you guys, and it's going to be a massive one. And and I think, but also expectations are high, and we're with 3 Days Grace, so we've always operated well under the right amount of pressure. You know, if we just have like endless time and we can kind of go about it at whatever pace we want, then we don't operate as high level as we do when there's like, hey, we got to have this completely dialed up, record finished, show done, blow people's minds in February. And it's like, all right, it's go time, boys. And I love a good challenge, man.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, the cool thing about this too is it seems to me this is a real opportunity for you guys to have fun. Like, I just, you know, the video is so fun. It's so funny, and seeing, you know, the teasers that you guys have put out of the behind the scenes, it looks like you guys are having a great time doing this and being a band again, which isn't always easy when there's so much pressure and work to be put into it. But it looks like this is a legitimate like feel of love for all you guys together.
Yeah, man. And I think that we're feeling pretty good because the record's almost done. We've got stuff that we still need to record but we're kind of in the position where if a new song comes along and it beats out one of the songs that we have, then cool, you know. So that's relieved a bit of pressure. It's not like we're sitting here with a single coming out and we don't have a record ready. It's pretty well ready to go. So, but just, you know, waking up every day and just like, okay, what's the task at hand? If you look at it like, oh my God, we're going on world tour next year, we got to finish the record right now, and we need to like figure out everything for what's going to happen live and rehearsals and then it kind of gets a little freaky. But we wake up and go, okay, what can we do today? You know, let's do something, you know, whether that's, you know, we're working on some video components for the show, and we've got some new songs that we're excited about, and just picking away at everything. You know, we don't take weekends off, and we might have to skip Christmas, but other than that.
Neil Sanderson joins us from 3 Days Grace. Neil, you mentioned you guys are still kind of working on the album, but you know, we've got a chance to hear Mayday. It's fantastic. What was it when you laid it down? Was it instantly like, this is how we're going to lay out what 3 Days Grace is in the future? Did you know right away this is a single that you want to introduce people to when you talk about the new 3 Days Grace?
I think the biggest I think the biggest question mark for us was just how it was going to work with where each singer was going to go and who was going to sing what. We weren't really sure how that was going to play out, but once we started just like doing it, and we were in a studio and we could just like, hey, try this, try that, and they started singing together, and then they started working as two vocalists to map out, you know, how things make sense and are meaningful with who sings what where. Once we realized that was going to be like organic in nature and just like it made sense and it created again a new depth for this band, you know, especially after 22 years of being out. That was when we kind of like let go of the wheel in a way. I would, you know, in a way where we just kind of let's let it happen, and so most of the songs, you know, were like that, where the guys kind of had a plan on where how the puzzle pieces were going to fit together.
You know, and I'm just, you know, to me, just thinking about it, I'm getting a little bit of goosebumps because, you know, we've had such a great history with a 3 Days Grace from Adam and to Matt, and just me thinking about that. But you guys all together, I mean, it seems like there's so much love, and you guys organically developing that while writing a record. You know, what kind of, you know, of those little vibes did you get, and how did you feel when you were making the album personally?
Well, you know, everybody's really kind of, I feel, you know, like we're on the same page. We have the same goals. And we all have this, you know, I think that we have this gratitude, like, hey, look how far we've come, and look what we're able to do at this point in our careers and in our lives personally. Right. It's pretty exciting to, you know, to be doing this long and then have it all laid out in front of us. Like, we're going to go out and we're going to do a huge amount of stuff and shows and releasing music that's going to be on the charts and all this kind of. So it has been like, I just felt, you know, when the first time that the guys both sang on something, I was like, oh, all right, this is it. Let's go. And it just was like, let's do 100 miles an hour towards that goal. And it hasn't really stopped.
Neil, as you guys get ready to release this record and put out some even more new music, as you're writing the record, did it change anything because there's a new dynamic now, or were you guys, it was like falling off a bike, getting back together in a room and just recording the way 3 Days Grace always has, or were there new elements or things into this particular album?
Well, I definitely will say that we've kind of really leaned into being able to record and to collaborate remotely. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, we got trained on that during COVID, and there's a lot of new studio technologies that it literally feels like you're in the same room together and you're recording together, even though you're thousands of miles apart. So that was a big one. But again, you know, you know, we put out a record called Explosions just after COVID. So that record was pretty well almost exclusively done remotely. So we had that tool in our on our belt. And then I think when it was like the notion that like just leaning into the fact that Matt and Adam just have really unique voices in their own right, and you know, and like let's kind of hone in on those strengths, and they don't need to sound like each other. And like, you know, I make the Pink Floyd reference. Like sometimes, you know, Roger Waters kind of has that frantic energy when he sings, and you know, and Gilmore kind of has a bit more of a crooner kind of like, you know, so he kind of, a lot of the time Gilmore would sing about stuff like, hey, everything's going to be okay, you know, and then Waters would come in and be like, no, it's not, you know. And so that was that realization that we can do that, and that creates the new level, instead of trying to like sound like each other or make it one thing. That was really freeing. It was really freeing in the studio to be able to know that we could do that.
How is it going about like setting up for you guys doing live performances? And, you know, we'll get a first look at it February 25th here. But how is that going to work in that aspect during a live performance?
Well, we're really in the weeds with that right now as we try to figure it all out. But we've built our stage, you know, so the stage is like, it's cool. It's got a bunch of little different platforms that, you know, the guys can move around on, and both of them are great rhythm guitar players. So I think the way that it's probably going to go down is like, you know, one of the singers will handle the lead vocal task for the most part. The other singer will sing backups and play guitar. But we might switch that out, where maybe Matt sings an Adam song, maybe Adam sings a Matt song, you know, so we can kind of do whatever we want. You know, I know that Matt's like, hey, so you're saying I don't have to like sing every single song anymore? Cool. You know, so unfortunately, I'm the one that gets no break. I don't get to have, there's no other drummer that's going to come in, I guess. So, but yeah, no, it's just, as we go, we have a video component. We've got like, you know, the show is going to have a lot of, just a lot of energy, and it's another, way of us to just take it literally up another level.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we heard that this show was happening, we were excited from the lineup top to bottom. I mean, Seven Dust, you guys, and Disturbed, and then to find out the first show of 3 Days Grace New Look is happening here in Boise. It's a really big deal for us. We plan on making it a very big deal, and we are happy that you guys picked this place to kick off. So I know you got a lot of work to get done between now and then, but we know you're going to bring out all the bells and whistles. It's going to be a hell of a time, and we are geeked to see you. So thank you very much for making time for us today too. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Can't wait. It's going to be fun. The first, you guys get the first show when we're just going to go out and just do it for the first time. And I'm glad that you guys are going to be there to witness it. And I appreciate the support.
Us too.
Yeah.
You be well, Neil. Thank you, brother.
Okay, guys. Thanks. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.